And you know who else has a nice hairdo? Clint Howard. Um, so, and speaking of Clint Howard, next up is the 1995 movie Ice Cream Man. Pretty basic plot. Bunch of kids happen to think the local ice cream man is a bit creepy, and they suspect he might be kidnapping children and doing unseemly things with their bodies and with their ice cream. So Ice Cream Man is a very interesting movie. It's pretty low budget, but I think it has a sort of charm to it. At least I feel it has a charm to it. And even though it's not a movie I would traditionally enjoy, there are some nostalgic factors that come into my rating of this one. I saw this one like when I was a kid quite a few times, and there's just a few scenes, even ever since I was a kid, that just, oh hey, that's actually pretty cool. So that might partially come into my taking of this movie. But what's your history with this one, Chucky?
I only watched this for the first time last night, so
That's going to be an interesting clash of perspective then.
yeah. I've certainly heard of the movie plenty before, and I'm fairly familiar with Clint Howard. Seen him in heaps of other things, usually as smaller roles. Yeah, it's an acquired taste. I can't say that I had a good time with it. I'm not going to say I had a bad time with it either, but I don't know. It just, Clint Howard himself, I mean, he's always kind of looked weird and acted weird in his movies, and I mean, that's kind of how he is. And it's just kind of like that as a main character. So his character is interesting. I kept thinking, like, you could just put some clown makeup on him. He'd probably be scary like that, and just act the way he just usually acts.
Yeah, actually, at times he reminded me of the new Pennywise. Forget the actor's name, but
Yeah,
he had sort of
Bill
like
Skarsgård.
he had a sort of a demeanor similar to him, facial expression, and it just hit me.
Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking of. You kind of with his voice in the movie. So him as a character in the movie is somewhat interesting. I think everything else around the movie I just don't really care for. Like a lot of the characters, the kids I didn't really give two shits about. This old lady who, would you call her the landlady or something? I don't know, but the one who kind of sort of looks after him, or he pays rent to her with ice cream.
It was a very interesting relationship then.
Yeah, didn't care about her character, didn't care about the detectives or the cops or anything in this movie. So outside of Clint Howard's character, I just didn't care. And look, I mean, the movie, I wouldn't say it's all that funny. I don't know if it's trying to be funny in any kind of way. And the horror aspect of it, it's just, I mean, the scariest thing I saw in the movie was probably how he was scooping some of that ice cream for his customers. I mean, damn, that was some sloppy ass ice cream.
Yes. Like I said, this isn't a movie that I would traditionally enjoy, and I suspect that if I saw it for the first time at this stage in my life, I probably would have cared for it. When I was a kid, a lot of the scenes, especially toward the second half, really stuck with me, such as the sort of puppet hat scene, and as goofy as it was, the the giant ice cream cone with the decapitated head in it, and I think my favorite scene in the whole movie though has to be the scene in which the two detectives are investigating the asylum which the ice cream man came from, and they find out the asylum isn't as it appears to be. No, it's not exactly a realistic scene, because of course, there would be like inspections, throughout the years, and with the state the asylum was in, it probably would be passing those inspections. So it may not be realistic, but I always did like the idea of it. And I thought that scene was probably one of the ones that was more legitimately, not necessarily scary, but it was at least more suspenseful. And also, I agree that I didn't much care for most of the characters. Most of the kids themselves are pretty generic. I started to know like one guy's name is Tuna, but um,
Yeah.
like you have Tuna and Smile Powell, like it
Yeah,
just
the if we had character names like that in movies today, it'd probably be considered somewhat normal. I mean, people are naming their kids all kinds of weird shit.
if somebody wants to name their kid Tuna, by all means go for it. But just think about what you're doing to your kid. Um, so I do wish we got a little more with them. I like some of the small things, like I think the girl whose father was a priest and mother was like I don't know what's going on with the mother. Apparently some gods poked through her, so that was interesting. And there's some infidelity issues too. So all this is sort of going on in the background though, and kids being kids, it doesn't really take a vocal point, which I thought was sort of interesting. It's it's not like this movie was trying to be deep about it though. It's just background noise. And actually, another quick thing, we talked about I forget how many shows before this was. We talked about Samo of 84, and this movie has a lot of the same type of investigative kid feel. It's taken a lot less seriously and a lot lower budget, but it just as I was watching this, it hit me like, hey, I think I've seen this before somewhere. So I don't know, it's an interesting movie. If you know what you're getting into, you would probably enjoy it more. And if you think it's just like some mid-90s slasher classic, it's not quite that. Though I would say it is nice to see a movie like this that deals more with violence toward kids as opposed to the more traditionally acceptable violence toward teenagers. So I guess in that way, go Ice Cream Man.
I've literally got no other notes
Well,
about
what
this.
is your favorite ice cream flavor?
I can't say I go out for any kind of extravagant type of ice cream all that much. Like, I'm not going to Baskin Robbins every week or anything. But I don't know, a Rocky Road or something.
Unfortunately, that is not the right answer.
I like marshmallows, okay? So if you can put some marshmallows in my ice cream, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I did try Rocky Road once, and because of the marshmallows, it just didn't do anything for me.
I'm not such a fan of nuts in my ice cream, though.
I think if I had to choose one, you can't go wrong with cherry vanilla. Or any type of strawberry.
Did you just say vanilla?
Cherry vanilla.
What's the difference?
There's a little taste of cherry in it, and it's just adds a lot.
Okay.
Although I would say though that there's a company named Ben & Jerry's who do a bit more expansive ice cream. They have a strawberry cheesecake flavor. It has little graham cracker crumbs in it. Just tastes fantastic. So that's not really comparable though to the ice cream this guy serves. Some of the actually most horrific scenes in this movie was when he was using his bare hands to like either mix or make the ice cream.
Yeah.
It was one of the most unsanitary things I've seen in quite some time. And I think those might be some of the more disturbing things in this movie. So I personally find this movie pretty acceptable. Like I said, a big part of that might be nostalgic value, and I'm okay with that. It's nostalgic value is one of the things that you can't just get rid of. If you happen to see a movie when you were a kid, it might mean more to you when you're an adult, and I think that's always okay. So this movie, I would probably lean toward a 6.5, and I'll probably round it out up to a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10. As I said, Clint Howard's kind of interesting, his character is, but there's not a whole lot else about the movie that I enjoyed or was really interested in. I mean, it does have a bit of a nostalgic charm feel to it. Like, it's one of these... It says it's made in 1995. At times, I could mistake this for an 80s movie, to be honest. I wouldn't say it felt like a mid-90s movie to me. But anyways, outside of that, Clint Howard, I didn't really have all that much to rave on about in this movie. And not that I raved on about Clint Howard either, but I had to rave on about something.